Welcome to Be Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we are looking at something absolutely fascinating. Americans love a good change of scenery. In fact, switching states and cities on the regular has basically become the new American pastime. It's right up there with eating restaurant portions so massive they'd literally make a kid from the Great Depression cry into his porridge. But lately, this city-to-city migration has reached unprecedented heights. Now, before we get into the incredible data we're exploring today, I highly encourage you to turn on the English captions on your screen. That way you can easily follow along with all the numbers and city names we're about to cover.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The big question we're answering today is where exactly is everyone moving as we look toward 2026 and 2027? We are seeing a massive wave of city-to-city migration across the country right now. And the primary driver? Well, it's all about the search for a lower cost of living. People are actively packing up their entire lives and moving across the country simply to find a place where their paycheck stretches just a little bit further.
So, the overarching macro trend we're seeing right now is super clear. The people faucet is pouring south. While Americans are obviously moving to various places around the country, the overwhelming majority are heading straight for the Sun Belt. The usual suspects like Florida and Texas are still going incredibly strong. But the Carolinas? Wow. They are collecting new residents right now like someone completely forgot to turn off the people faucet. Based on moving service data and US Census predictions, the migration map is heavily tilted below the Mason-Dixon line.
Section 1. The Southern Boom. Rising Stars. Ranks 10 through 4.
All right, let's do a rapid-fire countdown of these rising stars. Starting off at number 10, we've got Jacksonville, Florida. It has quietly become enormous, crossing the 1 million resident mark. By 2027, it's actually predicted to hit 1.035 million. People love it for the logistics jobs, the heavy military presence, and its massive suburban sprawl that really keeps it from feeling too crowded. At number 9 is Sarasota, Florida, or as the source cheekily calls it, Bikini Boomerville. Despite Florida's rising insurance bills, retirees are still flocking here for the sunsets and speedos, pushing it toward a predicted 60,000 residents by 2027. Moving right along to number 8, we have Knoxville, Tennessee, predicted to hit 208,000. It's holding steady thanks to its outdoor recreation and great university vibe, but its era of being a cheap alternative is fading fast. They're definitely no longer handing out bargain houses with a complimentary banjo. And at number 7, the Boise metro area in Idaho. The fascinating thing here is that Boise, the city itself, is barely growing, but the wider Treasure Valley suburbs are absolutely exploding, turning old cornfields into massive subdivisions almost overnight.
Continuing our climb, sitting at number 6 is Charlotte, North Carolina. This is perhaps the strongest pure city growth story on our entire list. It's no longer just a regional banking center, you guys. It's becoming a major American metropolis. If growth holds, it's going to cross that 1 million resident line by 2027. At number 5, we have the Greenville-Spartanburg area in South Carolina. People aren't moving here for big city excitement. They're actually moving for the Interstate 85 corridor factory boom. It offers a steady paycheck, a decent house, and a Costco just a short drive away. And at number 4, Raleigh, North Carolina. The Research Triangle is an absolute vacuum right now for scientists, healthcare workers, and tech employees who want really great jobs without paying Boston or San Francisco prices. It's predicted to hit 521,000 residents. Though, fair warning on this one, you might end up in a suburban neighborhood where every single house is beige and the incredibly strict HOA knows exactly how tall your grass was at 7:14 on a Tuesday morning.
Section 2. The top 3 migration magnets.
Now, while all those previous cities are definitely booming, there are 3 markets completely dominating American migration, starting with number 3, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. The population numbers reveal that the two halves of this famous metroplex are actually traveling in very different directions. Dallas itself is experiencing a slight population decline of about 0.1% over the last year, mostly just holding on to its famous name tag. But Fort Worth is absolutely exploding. It recently crested 1 million residents and has seen an enormous 11.9% growth rate since 2020. So the real boom in Texas is actually happening in Fort Worth and outer suburbs like Plano and Frisco.
And that intense momentum brings us to this very specific 2027 prediction for Fort Worth, 1.068 million residents. I really want to emphasize this number because it proves a massive geographic shift. Future growth in the region is heavily shifting away from the traditional Dallas city center and pouring directly into these booming outer rings and Fort Worth proper.
Let's pivot over to the number 2 spot, which honestly might surprise some of you. It's Ocala, Florida. Ocala has actually ranked second for 3 straight years now. Historically, people just associated this inland Florida town with horse farms, retirees, and pickup trucks, but the numbers are staggering. A 2.4% growth rate in just 1 year, and a massive 12.7% growth since 2020. Because it's located inland, it bypasses the extreme costs of Florida's coastal markets, making it a major affordability haven for people cashing out of super expensive cities. The reason they're moving there? Well, it becomes super obvious when you look at the math. Imagine you're living in New York City, feeling the financial squeeze every single day. You pack up, you move down to inland Florida, you check your bank account at the end of the month, and suddenly you're asking yourself, wait, where'd this extra $4,000 come from this month? That is the literal financial reality for a lot of these transplants. The sheer amount of money you can save by moving out of massive coastal metros is exactly what's driving this Ocala boom.
Okay, we're just about to reveal the undisputed #1 moving destination in the entire country for 2027. But real quick, if you're finding this data-driven breakdown as fascinating as I am, please take just 1 second to like this explainer, share it with a friend who is constantly talking about moving, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on our deep dives.
All right, the #1 city everyone is moving to is Wilmington, North Carolina, with a 2027 population prediction of 130,000 residents. If current trends hold, its momentum is practically unstoppable. Let's break down exactly why this city has claimed the top spot on the charts.
So why exactly is Wilmington #1? Well, first off, this is absolutely no fluke. It's their 4th consecutive year at the very top of the mover rankings. Second, the geography is actually shifting. Wilmington is essentially merging with Myrtle Beach down the road, creating this massive, expanding 2-city coastal region. Third, it offers true coastal living without those staggering northeastern beach community prices. I mean, they've grown 9.8% since 2020. Now look, it's not all sunshine. This rapid growth is bringing looming infrastructure strains, major development challenges, and rising insurance costs. But for now, it remains the ultimate American migration magnet.
Section 3. The affordability paradox. This brings us to a really crucial warning hidden within all this data. What happens next to these boomtowns is a cycle we have seen play out time and time again. Step 1. A relatively cheap city, like a Raleigh or an Ocala, gets highly popular. Step 2. A massive influx of new people moves in, which immediately drives up the housing prices and the overall cost of living. And step 3, the very affordability story that attracted everyone in the first place is destroyed. The source material notes this exact cycle has already happened to places like Denver, Miami, Los Angeles, and New York. When a place gets popular, it essentially turns affordability into a historical exhibit. So for all these southern boomtowns currently cheering about being #1, well, that status might not be the complete blessing it appears to be.
Which leaves us with this final, honestly, incredibly provocative question. Will these southern boomtowns figure out a way to stay affordable, or will they just price themselves out, meaning the next great American migration in 10 years will actually head to the Midwest? I want to know exactly what you think. Head down to the comments right now and give me your predictions. Will North Carolina and Florida hold on to the crown, or is a massive shift coming? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you on the next one.